It is good for everyone to be here. My name is Mike Kinman. My pronouns are he, him. I'm the rector here, and this is the Rector's Forum at All Saints Church. I'm going to turn around and wave to the camera to everybody you kind of missed the turnaround part, so everyone's doing that. Okay, that's fine. Just wave to the camera. Hello, everyone who is streaming us from around the country and around the world. It is great to have you here, and it's great to have everybody here at All Saints Church. If you are new to All Saints, this is your first time with us, you've sort of been drawn into the orbit of this community, it's great to have you here. There are some green contact sheets near the door. If you could give us a moment to take a moment to give us your contact information, that would be great. One of the things about this community is we are always putting our faith into action. And each week we pick one thing to try to focus our action as a community. This week, we're asking everyone to go to the action table and sign a letter to your member of Congress, asking them to support the Apache Nation in their struggle to prevent the desecration of their sacred lands at Oak Flat, Arizona. The U.S. Forest Service is moving forward on a proposed mining plan that would create a crater 2 miles wide and 1,000 feet deep below Oak Flat. Reverend William Barber, Bishop William Barber of the Poor People's Campaign, this is what he wrote about this. He said, "To Christians and Jews, this would feel like a desecration of Mount Sinai." We were writing to demand that Congress use their powers to intervene and stop the destruction of these sacred lands and return full rights and religious protections to the Apache Nation for Oak Flat. This is an incredibly important issue, so please, if you haven't already, before you leave, go to the action table on the lawn and sign a letter to your member of Congress asking that they stop this mining. There are so many things, as always, that keep this community going at All Saints Church, and it is your presence, and it is the continual work of the Holy Spirit among us, and it is also your financial generosity. Thank you to everyone who has pledged for 2020. We're still missing about half of the pledges that we need just to keep things going at our current level. So if you have pledged, thank you. If you have not pledged yet, please do so. You can get a pledge card from me, or they're in the pews, or from Terry Knowles. And please get that in, because we need to be able to make our budget for 2020 and keep doing really incredible ministry both in this community and out in the world. And so usually for our forums, we bring in someone fascinating from the outside. And today we're bringing in someone fascinating from the inside. And so this has been it's been a really exciting and interesting year at All Saints Church. And for a great deal of it, we were in search for a new associate rector to work with me and Sally Howard and also Susan Russell and the rest of the staff here at All Saints Church. We were looking for someone who absolutely could minister among the Latino Hispanic portion of our community, and not just do that. We wanted someone who could really help us work with congregational development from a multicultural lens and help us to become more and more one beloved community here at All Saints Church. As the search process went on, I reached out to several different people. Do you know anyone? And some of you may know Lorenzo Labrija, who has worked here in this diocese. And Lorenzo said, "Have I got a guy for you?" And he contacted Alfredo, and Alfredo felt moved by the Holy Spirit to contact us, and I now owe Lorenzo dinner. So if you're watching, Lorenzo, I'm going to get you that dinner. One thing led to another, and I don't think I have ever seen a search committee more unanimously enthusiastic about a candidate for a job. I'm looking over at Juan, and I know Flor, where are you? Flor Quintanilla and Juan Mejia were members of the search committee than we were about Alfredo Feregrino. And you have been with us now since...
24 days.
Yeah, 24 days.
24 days.
And what are you doing tonight?
I'm going to Seattle, Washington.
for your family. It'll be the first
This is my
time you've
fam-
seen your family.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and so that's,
Yeah.
and so we're going to just go to have a conversation and get to know, and then we're all going to have a chance to have a conversation. Something I'm keenly aware of because I went through it too is, just want to say we so appreciate both you and Jennifer and Joshua and Maya being willing to be a part, because that's really, really hard. And we really appreciate your willingness to do that for the sake of this work at All Saints Church. And so I just want to start off by saying, well, just sort of tell us, I guess in Marvel Comics, they would say, what's your origin story? So tell us about growing up and what shaped you and what brought you to America.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for being here. Thank you. Sometimes I speak so fast. So as I speak fast, please let me know. Slow down, Alfredo. I want to make sure, as Fran told me, to smile. I want to do my best, but he's my coach and smiling coach. I have words of gratitude. I'm so blessed to be here among you. I'm so happy to be here. And as I said before, I come as a midwife, but I can explain the concept later. I was born in Mexico City. It's one of the biggest cities in the world, right? I have my sister over there, so she knows the dynamics of Mexico City. I was born there, and then I came to the United States in 1992. So I've been living in Seattle for 27 years. So I've been living more in Seattle than in Mexico City. so within that concept, I mean, I have both identities, right? And I define myself as bilingual, bicultural. So we always talk about the identity, and I believe the identity is a construct. So we create our identities. So right now I'm bilingual, bicultural, within this multicultural frame. Yeah.
So I remember you telling us that when you were a child, you spent some time in a Roman Catholic monastery. Can you talk about that and how that shaped you?
Yeah. One of the things, we can talk about different concepts: vocation, career, hobby, job. The vocation never get away. The vocation comes from both. The calling never goes away. I was 12 years old. Remember Panchito? So I was a priest. There was a priest that I was totally in love with him. He's like a wonderful person. He's a holy man. And he started involving me into the church. And one of the things that he told me one day, Alfredo, let's go bless houses. And then he had a bucket of water. And I was carrying the bucket of water. And we knocked house by house, blessing houses. I mean, he was blessing the houses. No, I was carrying the bucket of water. I was 12 years old. And so I was carrying the bucket of water, and we went to these poor neighborhoods around Cerro de Chiquihuite. We went to blessing places, and for me it's like wow, this is what vocation is all about. And as I say, God works in mysterious way. I entered a minor seminary when I was 14 years old. It was a mendicant order, Siervos de Maria, Serving Mary. It's an order, religious order that was founded in Italy in the 1200s, around with Franciscans. And so I start over there in the seminary, pre-seminary, and I become friar. So I received the habits, the constitution of the order. So I changed my name. Instead of Alfredo Feregrino, it was Fray Alfredo Maria Feregrino. Mm-hmm. But I was only 17 years old. Yeah. It's like, wow, this is a lot of work. So I wasn't ready to continue doing my perpetual vows, Olius vows. So I left, and and I started the School of Philosophy. I started in Mexico, the Escuela de Filosofía, en la UNAM, in the Universidad Nacional Autónoma de Mexico. So my degree was in philosophy.
So then how did you end up in Seattle?
By accident. By accident. When I finished the School of Theology, when I was in Seattle, let me tell you, I was studying German too. German was part of I studied German with philosophy studies. But my goal was to go to Germany, to continue to be German. So I just say, I'm going to start here to the States, and from here I'm going to go over there. But I came here, and I stay here. So I found a job at the Consulate of Mexico. So
In Seattle.
in Seattle. So I stayed for 4 years working at the Consulate of Mexico. And from there, everything moves, right? And I started working in an immigration law firm later. I never went to Germany.
So, but you speak fluent German?
No, not really.
No,
not really.
okay.
Don't, I can. I mean, I used to speak.
Okay.
It's gone. But you don't practice. But sometimes I got Nina, and
It's like it's a little-known piece of the diversity of the
Yeah.
All Saints staff is we have 2 German speakers
Yeah.
on the All Saints
Yeah.
staff, Alfredo and Nina Scherer. Well, so when did Jennifer enter the picture?
Enter the picture. Okay. Okay. So in I came in 1992, and in 1994, 96, I met my
She's
wife.
probably watching, so you better get this right.
Not right now. She's going to watch later. She got a meditation class, but she's going to go watch it later. I'm going to make sure to smile. Frank.
That's right.
I can, Mike. You have to treat me more. So I met my wife through mutual friends. Actually, it's so funny because I love reggae music. And one of the things I'm going to tell you about reggae, one of the things before applying for this job, I saw this wonderful sermon where you just used Bob Marley. What was it?
Oh, that was with Andre Henry at
Wow.
Easter, yeah.
I said, wow, I'm from here. Okay,
Yeah.
going back to the reggae.
Yeah.
I went to a reggae concert. It still pulls. I don't know if you guys familiar with reggae.
You and Robin will
still
get
pulls. Yeah, excellent, cool. So we had something in common. And then I met some friend over there, and from there, that friend knew my wife. So the connection for my wife was through a reggae concert. So reggae is part of my life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all liberation songs and things. So I start, actually, I want to confess, I didn't intend to go with my wife. I was trying to go to date my friend I met, and my wife happened to be with her friend. So,
Yeah.
okay. I didn't know anything bad. So everything is closed, everything is public. So, so I started knowing dating my wife, and we get married, and then we have 2 kids suddenly. So, well, not suddenly. It's a process.
That's right.
It's a process to have kids, right? It's a
Well,
process. It's a process.
we're going to have a chance to meet Jennifer
Yeah.
and the kids, but tell us a little about the family.
Yeah, then in Seattle, I had twins, boy and a girl, Joshua and Maya. One of the stories I can remember is that we went to the ultrasound, when my wife was pregnant, and we went 3 months after, and we went to the this doctor or whatever with the ultrasound technician, start checking all this belly for my wife, and suddenly this technician say, "You had twins." And I didn't get it. I said twins. It was 4 o'clock. She was tired. I said twins. And then they say, and then how did you know? And she say, I know because it's my job. So suddenly, the first image I received was like a 2-car seats. Everything was double, double diapers. Everything. It was multiply everything by 2. So this is the story for my kids. But it's a wonderful. They were born when they were 8 months, so it was interesting to carry them, both at the same time, but that was good because it was the soccer. You guys watch soccer here?
Yeah, soccer, yeah.
That was they were born in 2002. It was the soccer,
World Cup.
the World Cup,
Yeah.
the World Cup, and so all the games were 4 in the morning, right?
Oh,
and there was Japan and Japan. And, so I will volunteer to wake up in the morning and carry the baby and feed the babies. No, not volunteer. It was my job. That was my job, like the ultrasound technician. No, this is my job. So yeah, it was great to have them. So but it's like and when they start growing, when they're toddlers, I used to play soccer. I was a keeper, so you had to always make sure that one over there. John over there, right, left. So
Oh, that's great. Well, so then you were working at the consulate in Seattle, and then somehow you ended up being an Episcopal priest. So that kind of stuff happens. So what happened?
Be careful, everybody.
Yeah, what happened?
Okay, going back to the twins, going back to my kids. So we decided to. I mean, I was Roman Catholic. I didn't question anything. For me, it was totally normal being Roman Catholic. But my wife wasn't Roman Catholic, and she said, I say, I want to baptize my kids. I said, no, we're not going to baptize in the Roman Catholic Church. So anyway, we start. He said, Alfredo, I want you to start to explore different churches, right? And she knew the Episcopal Church. Actually, my wife was the one to introduce me to the Episcopal Church. And we have a St. Mark's Cathedral in Seattle. Are you familiar? Yeah. They have a Chaplain service, 9:30, and then Alfredo, let me take you over there. And so I went to the Chaplain service, and one day we said, let's go to the Sunday service. Okay, let's go. So it was 2006, and as soon as I entered the church, I said, wow, I'm from here. I was there was the entrance, the hymn, the procession. And I do believe in revelation. Don't get me wrong. And that moment was the moment that I felt the Spirit. I said, you're from here. This is your work. This is your calling. So, and for me it was interesting because I see a woman over there in the altar and say, oh, women in the altar? Yeah. This is like all these deacons. And for me, I started asking questions. And I started getting involved in the Episcopal Church, and my dear friend, love her, is Nettie Rivera, Bishop. Yeah, she was at that time near Rivera, and I was doing ministry. I didn't consider ordination whatsoever, and I was part of the different ministries at the cathedral and the diocese. And then she's the one that told me, Alfredo, okay, what about we start this discernment group, okay? Let's see how it feels. So I started in discernment because of the influence of Nelly Rivera, Jerry Shigaki, different beloved friends. And so I started the process, 2 years process. And at the same time, I went to the School of Theology and Ministry, Seattle School of Theology and Ministry in Seattle. It's a ecumenical program where we started 4 years, 117 credits. It's really, really long program. I love to be. So anyway, I started over there, the education and ordination. It's like you have to follow like 50 steps to be ordained. And the point is you have to trust. Mm-hmm. You got to trust the process. It's not like you submit an application and they're going to approve it. It's a two-way. That's right. And sometimes I had to be in front of the vestry because the cathedral is like 20. Here is different. Over there was like 20 people in the vestry. Yep. So one of the things I remember, I had to ask. They asked me, Alfredo, when are you going to be a priest? In front of everybody. So I guess it's when you ask the Spirit to speak through you. So it's like.
And then. Uh-huh. You were inspired to start this community.
Yes.
And so talk about what inspired you and talk about this community that you've been shepherding for the last 6 or 7 years?
5 years.
5 years?
5 years. Then when I was in the School of Theology and Ministry, we had to write what we call a synthesis. We don't write a thesis, synthesis. So it's to see what is your theology, what is your, what are you learning 4 years? And you had to write like 8 pages, right? Yeah, so you had to synthesize everything. And for me, I discovered that the unified theme in my theology was about unity. It's a theology about unity. Unity was reflecting in all my papers. And I decided, is what if we start creating a congregation in which Anglos and Latinos can be together, based on the and this Gospel of John, chapter 17, that we are one, as Father protected in your name that you have given me, so we can be one as you are one. Yeah. So I started with a theology of ministry to create this congregation, and I realized we didn't have anything in Seattle. We have, but for me, it was important to how we can be together, how we can fulfill this love to be in unity. And it's difficult. I mean, it's difficult. It's like, as you remember, the way I read the scriptures, when Jesus was over there in the storm, La Tormenta. I mean, he used to go from the Judean land to the Decapolis, which is a Greek land. Mm-hmm. So it's travel by boat, back and forth, back and forth. For me, the way I interpret the scripture is like all these storms and everything is trying to get two peoples together. Mm. You see, I mean, that's how I interpret the synoptic gospel, you know, in this situation. So we started a congregation from scratch. So I consider myself a church planter. So for nothing, you know, I mean, apply for grants, ask the permission for the bishop, work with a team, create your team, form leaders. It's a lot of work, but it's a holy work. I was telling Mike and in one of the interviews, All Saints is nothing similar like what I experienced. I come from the opposite. So I was like a monkey, you know, these monkeys, the toys monkeys. Are you familiar? You know, the monkeys that do everything and play.
Right.
And do. So right. I was doing everything. Really, it's literally. It's like, you're smiling, that's good. And I had to do my bulletins, contact the people, and so preach every Sunday, you know, and everything was bilingual. So my goal was to do bilingual, and that was my idea. Yeah.
Well, so then what excited you enough that, you know, you've been in Seattle 27 years, and what excited you about All Saints that you thought maybe God is calling me to, you know, move my family and me all the way down here to California?
You know, sometimes some knowledge we call unthematic knowledge, mm-hmm. You know, this knowledge that we don't have a team. So you just have to follow the call. And what attracted me is like, that's the potential that we have here in All Saints, the potential, the human capacity, the hands and feet of Jesus. You know, I mean, so that's what attracted me, and all the history of social justice, you know, quality liturgy, the love of Jesus, you know, the love of God, you know, and that's what attracted me. And somebody said, "You be careful, Alfredo. All Saints, the people in All Saints are scary nice." So scary nice. So it's totally true. I mean, it's a correct word to say scary nice, but and so that I see the potential, and I say, you know, we like to offer my gifts, and as I say in one of many introductions, I come here as a midwife. I don't come with my super cape. Frank, I'm sorry to disappoint you. So I don't have a cape, and for me, it's like a midwife carry the baby, right? Right. So the midwife and the Spirit is the one who gives life. So I came here as an instrument, as Paul said, you know, I come as a steward of God's mysteries. A steward of God's mysteries. So we're stewards of God's mysteries. So, and the sacraments, you know, sacraments as doors to the sacred, you know. Yeah. So we are stewards, and yeah.
So, I remember my first 3 or 4 months here, mm-hmm. primarily feeling like I finally understood what it meant to be a deer in the headlights, of just like, whoa, and just like, it was so much new information, like drinking from 3 fire hoses at once, and getting to know this huge community. So you've been here 24 days.
Mm-hmm. And 10 hours, so 11 hours.
And how many, so what are you learning? Is there anything that has surprised you? Mm-hmm. What do you make of us?
So one of the things I'm learning, I mean, within the system, is a huge system. You know, it's like we have how many people in the staff? 40-something?
Yeah.
So I used to have to, I'm a monkey, you know.
That's right.
Whatever, you know, I don't want to do it, but I can do that. You know? I used to do my liturgies, everything, you know, like go to the music. Remember, we had to check the music and everything. First of all, it's like my body has to adapt here. It's like, this is a kind of dry weather.
Yeah.
I mean, it's beautifully sunny, but I noticed my body is like, it's totally out of
Right.
shape, kind of in a way that 2 weeks ago, I mean, remember, Carlos, I lose my voice, so that thankfully I was finished preaching. So, but my body's adapting. I'm totally out of I don't have my house. I'm gratefully live with John and Lisa, the wonderful hosts, and thank you, Fran and Chris, for connecting me with Juan Mejia.
We have some wonderful parishioners,
yeah.
John and Lisa Cochran, who are hosting Alfredo.
And I using right now my sister car, you know. So I'm trying to. It's like everything is like you start from scratch, basically, right? And it was like one of the things I've been learning is like, okay, I need a haircut. Where should I go?
Yeah.
I mean, I went to Supercuts.
Okay.
Whatever.
Right.
I don't know. I use.
Looks
you know,
good.
It's vulnerable. You have to be vulnerable. I mean, because
Yeah.
you have your person, someone you have your barber people, that, and you know, you're vulnerable. So you know, okay. Yeah. Just
Well, no,
do
when
the
you've
best you
lived
can.
somewhere for 20, 27 years, you don't realize how much you have gotten into patterns with certain places and people. And then, like you and I were talking, it's like you're going to go to the grocery store here, and first you're not going to know where the grocery store is, and then you're not going to know where anything is in the grocery store, and that's going to be new for you because you've been shopping in the same place.
Yeah, but the locations, but thankfully we have 30 shows, and we have.
That's right.
So I really know the brands I need
Some
to buy.
things are
I know the eggs
Yeah.
I need to buy. I need the spinach I need to buy, and so that's a good thing. But like yesterday, I don't know what to. I mean, I'm still trying to learn how to move around Pasadena.
Right.
Yeah.
So you've told us, we know you love reggae and steel pulse and soccer. And so what else? What do you love? Like, what are your hobbies? What do you love to do? How do you exercise?
Actually, my exercise, my sister introduced me with a program. Yeah? So with this program that we used to exercise 15, 20, 30 minutes, I had to keep my exercise because it's jumping, it's kind of aerobic stuff. It's insanity, whatever. So, and in a way, it's good because you have to. It's for me, it's a rule of life. I mean, in the rule of life, you pray. In the rule of life, you give. In the rule of life, you exercise. It's part of your body, and especially in this kind of jobs, it cannot be so easy to say, no, I don't want to work, I don't want to exercise, forget about it. And then it's when you start getting weight or whatever, or getting healthy, things like that. So you have to be really watch in ourselves. So I do exercise. I like to play music too. I mean, I'm nothing like compared with the musicians that we have here. But I like play guitar, play piano. So I like to play piano. Sometimes I know my chords only. That's it. So I play, I improvise, and so yeah, that's kind of. I really like to do that. I like to walk a lot. I went to walk. I went to the Arroyo yesterday, and but you know it's interesting because it's hot too. So I kind of realized how to adapt my body into. I used to walk around the lake in Seattle, so it's different. So I had to really. And I called my mother because she always say, Alfredo, you see ducks, patos? D-U-C-K,
Yeah.
duck patos. I said, no, Mama, I may have some snakes around here.
That's right.
Some reptiles. So, yeah.
It probably sums up the difference from moving to Seattle to LA is you went from walking around a lake to walking in a dry riverbed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have to keep walking. Have to keep walking. It's adapting, you know. So.
Well, that's great. Well, we got about 15 minutes. I wanted to sort of open it up. Are there any questions you have for Alfredo? Anything you think he needs to know about All Saints or Pasadena? Or Frank, can you?
It's okay. Yes.
Don't all speak up at once.
Back there.
Vehemently. You know, he still told me.
This is just to keep picking your brain. What are your major sources of news, and who are your favorite or most looked upon spiritual guides?
I can't hear
Spiritual, your major sources of news
Uh-huh.
and the spiritual guides. Who
Yeah.
are your major spiritual guides?
Yeah. Sources of news like I skim, I skim all this. I have my phone. I skim CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, Washington Post, Politico, NPR. So I just skim to have an idea. And in terms of sources of what sustain me, my prayer life, I like to. Thomas Keating said silence is the language of God. So I try to take 10, 15 minutes of silence a day. I like to do the examen prayer. Are you familiar with examen prayer? Mm-hmm. Examen prayer is from San Ignacio de Loyola, and we have 5 steps. First step is gratitude. Second, invite God. The third one, you review the day. The fourth is ask for forgiveness. And the fifth is like a change, trying to change your life. So I do the examen prayer, and it's really helped me. And and silence. I try to keep silence, And today I was in my office. I said, Alfredo, 10 minutes of silence. So he's trying to center, to center myself.
Are there any theologians that you find yourself coming back to repeatedly?
Theologians, as you say in my paper, so I really like the concept of Paul Tillich, systematic theology, and it's really been a big influence in my theology. It talks about sin and grace, and sin. Paul Tillich talks about sin as a sign of separation, right? And sometimes we talk about sin. Oh, I commit a sin, but you don't know what the sin is all about. Sometimes sin is when you separate yourself from your community, from yourself, from God. So that's Paul Tillich has been influenced me a lot. And as you say, sin distorts the human nation because we are aimed to unity, right? God aims to unity. God is they want to interconnect everything. So God aims to unity, and sin distorts that connection with God. So that's been a big influence for me.
That's great.
Systematic theology. So.
Carlos, did you have?
Yeah. First of all, I want to welcome you to our community, and I want to ask you, what is your vision for the 1 p.m. service? Since you come from a place where you combine both the English and Spanish-speaking congregations, what is your vision for growth and development for that service?
So in Episcopal Church, this is what I love about the Episcopal Church. Our job as a priest is to empower our lay people. So we are part of the same orders. Right. So for me, as I say, I don't come as a Superman. I come to work with everybody. I come to listen. First thing is to listen and see where the Spirit tells us to go. So one of my leadership styles is about seeing the fog, when you see the fog. When you drive in the car.
Fog, yeah.
The fog,
F-O-G.
Fog. When
Yeah.
you drive, you know what is there, but sometimes you don't know how to do that. Uh-huh. So you know what is the destination. And that's my style, and work with everybody. So my vision is we are part of these All Saints. So my vision is to how we can, with this unity concept, with this unity theology of unity, we can be together. One of my vision is not to consider the 1 o'clock service as outreach services.
Right.
You see, it's like, oh, those guys at 1 o'clock, they speak in Spanish. No. So for me, it's how to we as All Saints participate in the life of the 1 o'clock service too. And somebody in my interview talked about sin, right? Sin is separation. When we start separating ourselves, right, we are sinners. So how we as a community, All Saints, can be together and work together. Mm-hmm. You say probably, I don't speak Spanish. It's okay. But just come and pray with us. Yeah. So that's my vision. My vision is how we can pray together. Pray together. And I will say, pray together in 2 languages, understand each other's cultures. That's the main thing. We are not separated. So, and at the same time, for me, most of the people, growth comes from transformation. So I don't come here to have a mega church, right? I mean, I come here to transform people. So to be an instrument in which we can be transformed in the feet and hands of Jesus, in love. So I don't want to say like, okay, I'm going to have 1,000 people in the 1 o'clock service. No, that's not my goal. My goal is trying to work what we have. It's like the ABC program, you know, you work with what you have, and from there we start growing. And then grow always comes from ministry. Grow comes from transformation. Grow is the result of the spiritual practice. So we have to grow in love. We have to love each other. We have to work together. So that's my vision, and I'm here to work with everybody.
Well, and part of this is why we have you working with congregational development, because one of the things that Seattle and the San Gabriel Valley have in common is these are rich communities of not just 2 languages and cultures, but of a huge number of different languages and cultures. And so what we're talking about is not just how do we bring 2 together. I mean, even within the 1 o'clock community, there is an incredible diversity of culture in there. And so, you know, how do we become, you know, it's what we call beloved community. And this is what we're working on together.
Yeah, but it's all saints work, right?
Yeah, right.
It's all work.
It's all of us work.
All work. So please, just help us to become this beloved community. And as I say before, what in Jesus prays for unity. This Jesus prays for unity is about be together, and what tied together this unity is love. So we start loving each other. We're gonna change the world, and I do believe it.
Yep.
I believe it. I believe it.
Sandy.
I love the 1 o'clock service.
Closer.
It comes as close to Latin that I've heard since Vatican II. But I understand Spanish a little bit better than Latin, which is a good thing. You come from, I think, a very activist background, and yet a very conservative Catholic background as well. And one of the things that attracted me to All Saints, I knew Sally Howard here, but there was this photograph of Sally and Reverend Kinman sitting on the floor of the corporation that administers local prisons for immigrants. And I'm curious, beyond the internal religious mission of the church, what your thoughts are about the internal social services mission and the external outreach mission. You come from a very different environment. Seattle is very different from Los Angeles, and I think your insight from that environment may be very helpful to us. It's new blood.
Yeah, but at the same time, one of the things I didn't say before, I was been involved in social justice issues in Seattle too. So I've been in demonstrations. I'm totally advocating for immigrant rights. I've been in demonstrations, speaking in front of the federal building, been participating with the government of Oaxaca to bring people here. So I've been, my study of social activism is there, and is what I mentioned in my resume. So for me, it's really important to be a church in which we can. It's like a Eucharistic prayer at the end, when post-communion prayer, send us back into the world to do some good, to change the world. So after you receive the communion, go over there. After you receive the body of Christ, go over there and change the world. So yes, it's an internal process. But internal process allows you to move to the next. And then internal is, and the source, one of the sources in congregational development, one of my models of congregational development is everything has to be centered in prayer and spirituality. The prayer, from the prayers, everything goes. Everything moves to, but you cannot have a social activism without prayer. Because you are no superhero. You need the help of the Spirit. And the Spirit is the one that gives life. That's the reason I say, we have to be midwives. The Spirit is the one that gives life. And it's a sign of humility too. So I don't go over there and change the world. No, you do it with the help of the Spirit. And that's what the humus come from. So yeah, and first transform, get fit with Jesus, and then move and change the world. Yeah.
I think Alma.
I don't have a question, but I've met you 2 or 3 times in Riverside and all the places, and I love your concept of unity. You've already shown it to me, how you believe in unity, and I think you're going to be a great asset to our church.
Thank you.
Well, okay, so you've passed the Alma test, so you're good to go. So,
Thank you for the. Yeah, thank you much.
yeah.
Thank you.
Well, and one thing I realized we have a couple minutes we didn't touch on is you've worked as a chaplain in a children's hospital.
Yes,
Can
yes.
you talk a little about that?
Yeah, one of my, I spent time as a chaplain, Children's Hospital, Seattle Children's Hospital, one of the best, institutions. It was being a Children's Hospital, it was an amazing experience for me. You had to see it and bear the grief for some parents that, we have kids that die, but at the same time, we have a lot of miracles, you see? Mm-hmm. So we have more miracles than, so it really formed, that experience at Children's Hospital was really helped me, just to listen, sometimes you are not, in the chaplaincy, you are over there just to listen, just to pray to be a present in which the divine can work through you, period. So you are over there to listen, and but I was loving being at Children's Hospital, yeah.
Mike, can I say something?
Yeah, go.
Can you hear me? One of my favorite Alfredo stories was when he was interviewing here in Pasadena and came to Pasadena, and it was after the first round of interviews. He still hadn't been offered the job. He goes to some restaurant here in Pasadena by himself, and he starts talking to the busboys and the waiters and says, "Hey, have you heard of this church, All Saints? You should go there." And I love that story because he's out there in the community talking about what we are and who we are. And Alfredo, would you like to talk about your idea about going out into the community and sharing what this wonderful place is about?
Yeah, and that story is I went to the Cholo, and
El Cholo, yeah.
and then I invite the bartender. Happened to me to sit in the bar. I don't know why, but I was somewhat so relaxing, and I invite this, and this person came to 2 weeks ago. So I like this church. It feel welcoming and everything. So for me, it's like how we can go over there and invite. One of the models of transformation, congregational development, is gather, invite, integrate, and send. So for me, it's like go over there, knock doors, and sometimes we are so comfortable. We want people to come to our churches, but no, we have to go over there and invite people to come to the church. And what is the reason that we have to invite people to come to our church? We have to invite them to say, it's like the theology of the ants, A-N-T-A,
Right.
hormiguitas, A-N-T, hormiguita.
Yeah, little tiny, yeah,
Little
ants.
tiny ones.
Yeah.
So the ant, and when what happens is like everybody has ants in their house. I don't know. Sometimes I hope they do. But the ant go over there and then take the grain of sugar and go over there and tell everybody, look at that, we find sugar. And everybody go there. So go and tell. See? So go over there and say, we have a wonderful sugar to go over there, and then invite it, because the Episcopal Church is a healthy place to practice your faith.
Yes.
And then we are one of the branches of the Jesus movement. So it's really, really important to share what we have. Share. So and then Jesus sent, and the missional Jesus, he sent in Luke 10, sent the 72 disciples 2 by 2 where he intended to go. So my question for all of you, where Jesus intended to go now?
Yeah.
Where? Mm-hmm. In your works, in the restaurant, in the neighborhoods that we are past the freeway. We have a lot of freeways I had to, but where Jesus intends us to go, and then let's let's start working on it. So let's get together. Let's go over there, knock doors. Let's invite people. This is what we have. We have a wonderful piece of sugar. Well, I like honey, you know. But
Yeah. Great. Let's welcome Alfredo.